Welcome to the next run for DogPound D&D with our very honorable guest, Foxyjira. Um, Foxyjira, how did you find out about this? I'm actually curious. You seem to have connections to a lot of people I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know people kind of deal. I believe Sinith was the person who posted in the Death Store Discord that this marathon was happening. So I was more than happy to submit Death Store, and here we are. So yeah.
Sinith, the one I may or may not have slowly convinced to run a category that doesn't exist in Celeste.
Yeah, nice.
But so we keep up with time, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started whenever you're ready. Go ahead and count it down.
Sure. Yeah. Dang. Sorry, I'm kind of. This goes going a lot faster than I'm used to with other marathons, but yeah. So I guess we'll go ahead and start. I'll say that I'll probably give some time back, although this is going to be a. I call it make sure my timer's working. There we go. With umbrella only, I can't say actually now that I keep forgetting that that's a thing. So yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I think we're ready to go ahead and we're ready to go. Basically, we'll go ahead and get started here in 3, 2, 1, go. All right.
Perfect.
So thank you. So yeah. So as was mentioned, I'm Foxyjira. I speedrun this game, Death Store. It is like it's the second game, I guess, second major game made by Acid Nerve, who also made Titan Souls many years back. And the symbol of this game is basically we are a crow to go into work, and our job is to reap souls. So basically, we're starting off here. We get introduced to Chandler the Handler. Everybody in the game's a crow, by the way, who's going to tell us that we're going to get a giant soul, and that's basically our job. And from here on, until we get that giant soul and turn it in, we become mortal. So basically, crows are immortal as long as they're not on the job, basically, or on the clock. So because we met the umbrella incentive, I'm going to go grab the umbrella, which is kind of just neatly seated over here at the just in a random portion of the game. Go ahead and equip that. And the umbrella is kind of like, simply put, the worst weapon in the game, quote unquote.
But it's stylish.
Yeah, it's stylish. So we have our first little skip here. We just shoot through that wall to be able to skip like the tutorial area, basically. And here is the first giant soul, the demonic forest spirit. It's akin to I think it's called Vine Thesis in Titan Souls. But yeah, so these fights are probably going to take about doubly as long than I'm used to. The umbrella, as I was mentioning, is like the weakest weapon in the game. It does half the amount of damage as the what do you call it? The sword, which is basically the main weapon that we're going to use for DPS. Otherwise.
And do you have a quick moment for
a
read?
Oh yeah, I should have been doing this fight like 20 seconds ago.
Okay. Cheese Reaver donated $50. And I apologize to you, Foxy, and everyone in chat. Now it's time for the Energy Maker, the powerhouse. I'm a real booty shaker. I make ATP out of oxygen and food. What's my name? Mitochondria, dude. Also the load zone.
Nice. Good rap. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we beat the demonic forest spirit, and then all of a sudden a random like rift door gets opened into this area called the Lost Cemetery, which is kind of like the hub world in most other games that you would see. We can see that the Gray Crow, who's the person who bonked us on the back of the head as we were about to receive the soul, was just chilling out, walking, going about his own way. So we're actually going to be skipping about 90% of this first little section here. We have to do the first little bit. I'm going to grab that door as like a reset point, and we pick up this first orb. Soul orbs are basically just like souls in the Souls games that you pick up that give you free souls, although I don't have to pop them. If you die, you keep all of your souls basically throughout this game, so no big deal. Because the umbrella does so little damage, actually, I'll probably be using magic quite a bit more, because everything is going to take extra time to die here. Yeah, so we clear out those mobs. We are forced through a lot of those gates by checking that we're actually going to be killing the enemies here. We grab this last little soul orb, and I'm going to use that door that I grabbed before. Every time you grab a door, it acts as a checkpoint, and I need to checkpoint reset to actually respawn the enemies, and then that's going to allow me to skip this next section. And so instead of using the key up there in that lock, we're going to just go through here and use some of this this little bat. It's very useful, but also very annoying with his hitboxes and his AI, basically. So, as you can see, kiting a bat is always not the easiest thing to do. And we just kind of roll on top of its hitbox, and then we're over the lever, which, to do so, we would have had to run all the way around and go through. So now we're on our second boss. Pretty quick here. This is the Guardian of the Door. I like to think of it as like Alexander from like Final Fantasy games and those sorts of things. But if you've seen, there's actually a no-clip documentary of Death's Door on YouTube, and it was actually a pretty cool documentary to watch, actually, with the devs and those sorts of things. They said this boss, oh god, I haven't done so little damage in forever. There we go.
You know who's all about making sure that there's as little damage to people as possible? To Write Love on Her Arms. They're a nonprofit movement dedicated to preventing hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. They are also the charity that we are raising money for this year, and they exist to encourage, inform, inspire, and to invest directly into treatment and recovery.
Alright, gotta be a little careful here. There we go. Whew, that was actually kind of scary. Yeah. So wait, one thing that you saw that I did there, what I'm actually going to do real quick, because I need this for a trick, is to switch back to the sword. We aren't doing any combat here anytime soon, so we'll just be kind of rolling through that. So we beat the Guardian of the Door. That's kind of it. It's just a little boss, but kind of fun. I forget how long the fights take. Without, or like the cycles, basically, without the when doing the umbrella, because I haven't touched the umbrella in such a long time. But yeah. So we get a little key there. We're supposed to go over to the right and talk to the Grey Crow, who's basically tells us, hey, this is Death's Door. This is where a soul that he was meant to reap hundreds of years ago disappeared into in the ether. And so he, and let's see if I can get this first try, because I only have one thing. That should be good. Yep, awesome. We do a little sequence break there by using that bonfire like a little Zelda puzzle to pop open this fire gate, basically, and hop into the third area of the game, which you're not really supposed to be able to do until you get through at least the first side area. But we skip the Grey Crow, so we kind of skip all like the dialogue that he tells us and all this whatever. So we're going to do our first major like actual glitch of the game here, which is called an arc. It's for arrow cancel, and basically by doing a quick series of inputs of strong attack, roll, and then attack again, we basically roll into, we're able to roll over like short gaps without actually taking any like losing any height, more or less. So gonna keep the sword here just because I'm used to this stuff here. We're gonna aim at him to get a come at, and oh crap, I died. That's not good. And again, I'm just kind of I'm pulling your leg here. I'm supposed to die. I do that because by killing the boss but also dying at the same time, it gives me more souls, and then I don't have to actually go through. So yeah. So now we actually kill him, and so the whole point of this piece is that we just arrow canceled over a small little gap to basically go through and unlock what the upgrade to a spell that we have later. So if you look at the top like left corner, you'll see that I have a bow, 2 slots on the left and right, and then a bottom slot which is highlighted. So I now have the hookshot spell, which is the last spell I'm supposed to get in the game, but it's kind of like a fake spell in the sense that if I ever move off of it, then I actually if I ever move off of it, then I lose the spell. So I have to keep it at that slot until I actually unlock the real spell later, which is basically what we're going to do. If that makes at this point, we're kind of just making our way over to grab another set of weapons, which are good for, which are basically required as pieces of the run to skip certain sections, and then go from there. So I'm going to keep the sword equipped for now because we're not going to have any enemies upcoming, but I also have what do you call it? Some skips that I have to do with the sword. So do a little skip here. The hookshot is extremely useful because we can just kind of clip through some walls as long as you have some spider webs, among other things. So having the hookshot really for this portion of the game actually just makes it super nice and super clean. So we're now going into like the first actual section of the game, which is the Estate of the Urn Witch. The Urn Witch, basically, I guess to give some background to the game, because we're not going to get any like lore explanations until way later, after we kind of get done doing all this other extra stuff. So basically, we're Reapers of Souls, and we find out from game lagged a little bit there. We find out from the Grey Crow and other people that, or crows, excuse me, that things aren't really dying. So yes, crows are reaping. There are less crows reaping than there should be, but some places haven't been touched by death in a long time. So they're kind of getting a little bit old and out of season is the best way to say it. So now that
you're doing a damn good job of explaining the lore behind this.
You're welcome. Sorry, I'm a little bit like in a tizzy because the umbrella stuff was throwing me off. But
you're doing a freaking great job. I'm I actually, the game's not telling me any of this. Yeah. But I absolutely am getting it all from you.
Thank you. Yeah, I've ran this at a few marathons now, and run it semi-regularly now. I currently hold the world record for this category, which is current patch. The other main categories are 1.0, so the release patch on the game, which has more runs but is less active in some ways. Although there's a lot of speed tech still being developed for that run. I run current patch, as I said, so the most recent version on Steam, and the game is now available on all platforms, meaning Steam, I think maybe on Epic Games, Xbox One, Xbox, and PlayStation, as well as Switch. So you can get it on your preferred platform. Play it how you will. PC is what I play on. I believe that there are a few skips. There's at least one skip that is, as far as I know, only able to pull off on PC, but it takes off about 8 minutes off of the run, but it's really not a huge deal. It's a pretty tedious trick nonetheless. So it'll probably be the main point of where I lose time in this run. So as I was saying, we're in the Estate of the Urn Witch. Basically, the Urn Witch is just another form of a giant soul that needs to be reaped. So one thing I did that I should mention with the pot is I skipped meeting one of the only NPCs that you're kind of forced to meet in the game. We'll talk to him here in just a moment, but his name's Pothead. He's literally just has a pot for a head, and there's a bunch of little quirks about each of the different giant souls that you're basically trying to find and fight in the game. But the Urn Witch is trying to beat death by she thinks putting urns on things' heads will help them stay alive for longer. All right, I might switch to the sword here just because it's a little bit of it annoying. There we go. All right, come on, bud. Yeah, so we need this archer alive to... Sorry if I'm kind of skipping around, but we need this archer alive because we're going to use them to do an archer lift, which basically, when they shoot at you, they put their bow really low to the ground, and if you run into them, what that allows you to do is just have them lift you up over objects. So we're able to run around. We don't have to go through this entire gauntlet. I'm going to switch to the daggers now. For speed, and we can just get them immediately. This is Pothead, aka Pathed. He's a cool dude. He's going to run in and tell us that he's going to guard the door from enemies while we go in and do stuff, but we're not going to go do this now. We're done with the Estate of the Urn Witch. We're going to pop this door for later, and we're going back to the Hall of Doors. And so we meet Darwin, the Vault Keeper. Darwin is basically where you level up, either your Emerald Herald, Bonfire, or Firekeeper in the Souls games. Pathed, if you didn't notice, his oh-ho-ho sounds is very akin to the Katarina Knights from Dark Souls. Sorry, I know I'm making a lot of Souls references, but this game does reference a lot of stuff. It's very Zelda-like in its puzzles and its magic, but just lots of different references here and there. Acid Nerve did a really great job with this game. So what we're going to be doing now is actually kind of a reverse order of things. So we have upcoming the actual unlock for the hookshot spell, so we can actually start using it, because we do need other spells to actually progress through the game. And then I'm using the daggers here because that's just fast movement. You can we for fun call them zoomies, because animals like to zoomie and those sorts of things. I rolled off there on accident. That's fine, no big deal. I'm gonna pop into this Avarice, which is a reference to it's like a mimic chest, but they're called Avarice, which is a reference to Titan Souls. And basically this section is basically a small gauntlet to unlock the what do you call it, the spells themselves. So now I'm gonna go fight these enemies, and no, my controller, why is my controller not working? Oh god, this is not good. Please stop. Oh no. Okay, well, I died again, and haha, duped you. It was on purpose. So we're gonna be doing this one more time. Basically, if you quit out of an Avarice fight, it takes you to these giant crow doors, which are the actual places where you're supposed to go in to fight the Avarices. So we die on purpose there to go to this later section, which you would need a couple different spells. I'm going to grab some orbs here for later so that I can unlock a amount of an upgrade to my dex. And yeah, so that's basically it. We're just kind of going through now. We're going to unlock the door here so we can grab it later, and then I'm going to dagger dash around to get to it. So now we're actually going to go. Here we meet Barb the Bard. This is the only time we talk to her. You're forced to talk to her, by the way. So if you zoomie really fast, you haven't seen a really good one yet. You can fly. In 1.0, you can actually do it fast enough that you just straight up kind of actually fly off ledges into other areas. It's a little bit nuts. They reduce the acceleration, for the charge attack, which you haven't seen me do very much in current patch, so that you kind of...
Do people run old patches or only the newest?
It's split. So actually, I will say that the old patch itself actually is really easy to access. They have a tool that does it, that down patches the game for you. That was the most recent patch, or that was I guess as soon as the game got released, the speedrunning community was super on top of this game, which is great and all. I have personal reasons. I kind of don't like running 1.0 patches, just because it's kind of I don't know. There's a lot in the game that obviously needs to be fixed, but that's a personal thing. But there are people that do like to run 1.0 and do run 1.0 pretty consistently. So, all right. So these fights are going to take a while because I'm basically fighting third area enemies as my first section, I guess. So really a lot of what this is going to be is me just trying my very, very, very best not to take damage, because we usually run on minimum health and everything else. So go. And so one trick that you'll see me doing quite a bit actually is I'll be hitting projectiles back at enemies, because if you hit a projectile back, it does double damage. So it's very convenient. And then so there's also a strong and a weak attack in this game. The strong attack you can charge up, and it also interrupts enemies. So if you use a strong attack on a projectile, it has the possibility to do up to 6 times damage, which is really cool. And there are lots of enemies that shoot projectiles at you, like these boys. And while projectiles are very scary for the most part, because a lot of I don't want to say that I look good playing this game. I always look good, but besides that point, really this game is very gank heavy, I guess, when it comes to the mobs themselves. They can just immediately gang up on you so much and really just ruin your day. So it's really enemy management is extremely important. So this is what I like to call Smo, another reference to Souls, but it's a giant dude in big thigh armor with a hammer, so what else is it going to be? And you gotta just hug his left leg, and he doesn't move, and we just kind of wail him to death until he dies. I didn't take damage there, so that's actually like really good. I was really worried about that. But yeah, so we just beat the Avarice, now we're going to unlock the spell. If there's any time to like plug the marathon or anything else, feel free to roll.
Yep, so let's go and say we are raising money this year for To Write Love on Her Arms, TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms is a non-profit movement dedicated to sending hope and finding help people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. They exist to encourage, inform, inspire, and invest directly in treatment and recovery. So the third year, we're raising money for them. Every dollar that you donate, every cent goes directly to the charity through the Tiltify integration. We don't even have any way to touch the money, even if somebody wanted to. It goes directly through that integration. And it's a great cause. Thus far, we've raised $495, and I'm just always stunned at how generous people are, even so early in the event. We've got lots of stuff coming later. My personal favorite that I'm looking forward to, maybe I'm a little biased, is the D&D on Saturday and Sunday at 2:30 and 3 p.m. Respectively, and it's going to be awesome. We got a lot of other great runners. We got Jal Bagel with Monster Hunter World. Pretty sure he's the world record holder still. Maybe he's not. He was last year. We've got Super Metroid, Celeste, Pokemon Shield, believe it or not. So make sure you stay tuned and watch everything that's coming up. And definitely keep your eyes on this run right here. I'm enjoying the lore so far. It's a great story. I feel like I'm listening to an audiobook.
Thank you. But yeah, so I unlocked level 1 Dex from Darwin as we rushed back here. So now what we're going to do is basically skip the entirety of the Urnwitch area now. And this is definitely the most tedious trick. So if I'm here for like, a solid like minute, I'm sorry. It's very tedious. The timing is kind of odd. And the thing that sucks the most about this is that these rails, even though they look easy to stand on, are extremely tight. And I really don't want to fall off them. And the crow really just likes to come off. Okay, so that was kind of all right. 3 tries isn't too bad. Obviously, you want first try, but you just do a series of inputs to get like the correct spacing and height for doing a roll into a strong attack. So do some arcs over here just because I don't feel like running around. That's slow and boring. Fun fact, and so we get to do it again, which is super great, and obviously not tedious in running. But yeah, so we just have a couple spots that we try to aim at specifically, and this is why you need why you want to be on PC for this specific set of stuff, because you really want to do this with keyboard and mouse, because imagine trying to get these angles correct with an analog stick. So yeah. This rail is also a little bit tougher because like it's a slightly different angle than the other one before, so like everything isn't as like it's not the exact same inputs every single time. So yeah, I'll be at this for a hot second. I think I was explaining some other stuff, but yeah, basically right now we're just going immediately to what would be the first Avarice that would unlock us the Flame spell. So that way we can just start going through areas and not having to worry about all this other stuff. So yeah. Usually I'm a lot better at this, but there's some days where, obviously a trick just isn't in the right mood or those sorts of things. And you can see I'm kind of getting some height off of it too. So, it was really easy, like back in the day, I say back in the day, like a month ago, 2 months ago, when they didn't reduce the acceleration even more than they did in the earlier patches, but it really hasn't put a huge damper on anything other than that. So yeah, so we're kind of done with lore for a little while. Other than the fact that, yeah, basically we're going to go kill some giant souls that have been alive for too long. Let's see what else. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. So I've been doing these arcs here and there, which are, those air roll cancels over these, like, just little areas to save time and... Ooh, this is bad. All right. These little areas to save time, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing I have failed to mention, actually, is that if I arc over a void, then I have to Alt F4 out of the game. I am basically, like, soft locked. I can't access a menu or anything to be able to do it. It's very quick to do that, but obviously, if you do that, your run's basically, at least PB world record attempt run, is over. Wow, this is just not having a good time. All right. But yeah, so there's a piece coming up basically in the next section that I'm going to be doing where it's all arcs all the time. There we go, finally. Don't fall down the rail, please. This rail has not been kind to me as of late. And it's also a little awkward because... There we go. Whew. That gate can be pretty mean sometimes. For some reason, you can kind of just clip yourself over it by doing a strong attack into it. I don't like... You can have... There are setups to where you can sort of aim where you're going to go with the mouse cursor. And I just feel like that doesn't work as well for me, so I just kind of yeet myself into it, to say the least. But yeah, so now we're on to our second avarice. This would be in the middle of the first area in the Estate of the Urn Witch. This one's a little bit more tedious, I would say, than the other one, because there's a lot more enemies just in general, and you have these... Oops, hello. You have these pot boys, which are extremely tanky, to say the least. And it's just a lot more mobs in general in this, when they kind of try to overwhelm you with the sheer amount just in front of you. So, more wizards. These are kind of cool. These are like exploding pots. You can just hook shot into them to kill them, although you shouldn't technically have the hook shot at this point at all, so... But yeah. Actually, I did not know that. Alright, so actually, just learned that having the hook shot... so one nice thing about the hook shot upgrade, so each spell upgrade gives you, like, an extra... ability basically with the spell itself, and the hookshot upgrade basically allows you to hookshot into enemies and then be able to do, like, you can't really see it very well because of the purple, but it does like a strong, like an extra strong attack on top of it, and so that actually doubles your damage output as well. And so come here, bud. I can't see. That's like the worst part about the avarice as well, is that you get the light from the keyhole in like the center of it, but that's really all the light you get. So if you can run off screen for a fairly long time. So if you do run off screen, you're kind of just going in blind, which is the worst part. So not too bad. Taking 1-2 damage there is totally fine. Sort of expected, even if I was just using the sword itself. I will say, for one section of the game, I'm not going to use the sword for combat, and then it's simply because I like, if I would, I'd be switching in between the two quite a bit, and I really need to be using I have to be using the daggers for that section, basically because of all the arcs that we do. The daggers themselves, because of, like, you see that I keep using them for things, they get so much acceleration and other things off of the arcs that it's the most optimal way to do that trick. It gives you the most distance, the most height, those sorts of things. So it's that's the best way to explain it. And if I have to switch back and forth, it's really going to mess up my rhythm, and I'd rather not get stuck in what I would almost consider like the most tedious area of the game, because it's very bang bang, very fast overall, and nice to roll there. Like to save everybody's time in that aspect. So yeah, just gonna put that out there. But it'll be like, this will be like a 95% run, 98% run of, like, it max 4 enemies probably of everything that I kill basically will be done with the umbrella. So now we just go through like a little spell section of where, like, hey, you just got the hook shot, here's what you should be using it on, etc., etc. And here's some puzzles with it. So we're just gonna basically open up these other bonfire portions, which are going to light these. This reminds me of like Ocarina of Time, where you have to unlock the 4 sections to get an elevator in I think it's the Forest Temple. So that's exactly what I'm doing now. It's just there's no enemies in between. All of the arena fights that I would be doing, I'm skipping because I already have the hook shot. So Just kind of getting that out of the way. So this is a really good Zoomy. That's super fast. Absolutely flying. You don't get those all the time. It can be kind of hit or miss. 1.0 is a lot easier in that regard. Like you absolutely, like I said, fly in 1.0, and because the acceleration is so much faster, as long as you get a Zoomy, you're basically going to be going fast, whereas they can be kind of hit or miss on current patch. So, yeah. And so you can see here, unlocking these gives us the souls of somebody we haven't met yet, who we should have met at this point with all the stuff that we have, which is the Lord of Doors. He's basically our boss. We'll get to meet him later. He's a pretty chill dude, but sometimes he ain't. So, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, we have a minute here for more plugs or anything. I know we're almost at 500, so if we don't hit 500 during this run, I'll be very upsetty spaghetti. So y'all should donate.
Solid plug.
Yeah, somebody donate $5 and make me feel like a big streamer, I guess. I don't know.
My guys, $5. And you can stroke this man's poor ego.
Yeah.
All right, Galen, thanks for the rating party of 10. How you doing? It's been forever, Galen. You too, any one of you could be the person to bring us the $500. You could own that honor. Nobody can take that from you for the rest of your life.
Nobody can take that away from you. Oh, another great Zoomy.
For just $5.
For just $5.
For a 4 stream runner's ego.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if you're a speedrunner, you need all the ego boosts you can get. I've been there. It's rough, buddy.
Man, I'm getting really good Zoomies in places that almost don't matter. All right, cool. So now we finally got all the flames open to unlock this elevator, which magically appears because we quit out of the game. If we wouldn't have skipped the cutscene or done that, we would have seen it coming up and everything. So we basically just have to wait for it to appear in what would have been the cutscene, and then we ride the elevator up. Excuse me. And so I'm going to zoom into the door here, or into the walls of the elevator, for basically no reason, but we'll grab an orb here for later. And now we're up to the second portion of so that was Castle Lockstone, by the way. That's just the name of it. So now we're done with that portion. We're climbing up. We're about to get some lore exposition, which is way out of line for everything that we've learned so far, because we haven't even met the initial person to tell us exactly why we're even doing anything as a silent protagonist. One nice thing about Zoomies is that basically if you do them over a ledge like this, I actually don't have to worry about falling off unless I am really on a bad line. The game will actually keep me from running off, which is super convenient and nice of the devs to do that for me. So we're now entering the camp of the Free Crows. We meet this crow who should have been around Vaga after we were beating the Avarices. We're going to grab this key because we have to do it. And what we basically learned from him is that the Lord of Doors, like I said, who's our boss, is poopy doo-doo and not cool. And basically the reason that things aren't dying is because he is allowing them to stay alive. And he's caused other crows that were in the areas that we're exploring to basically die, and left them behind and sealed these places away.
Is Poopy Doo-Doo the official in-game name?
No. I
think it should be.
If you want it to be, we can make that canon. Somebody tweet at Acid Nerve and tell them we have demands.
And we do have a donation.
Hey,
I think really hates you. Whoever it was anonymous.
Oh, good.
And donated $4.99.
Oh, wow.
We are at $499.99.
Wow.
I'm gonna give them props. That's a solid. That's a power move right there.
That's a power move right there. I thought I had other things I disliked in my life, but you are now my #1 nemesis. So yeah, we're doing arcs. You can see all these little areas that we're just going over. We're going to be skipping because I don't want to do them. That's stupid and boring. Oh yeah, sorry. That wizard is just extremely annoying, and I don't want to have to deal with him. This is the hardest arena in the game. I will say probably. So if I die here once or twice, dang it. I'm sorry.
Remember, folks, he said that before. He was lying to us. Don't believe anything he says. The deaths are all intentional.
Oh, yeah, every death is intentional.
It's RNG manipulation.
It is.
For the bosses.
Yeah, 100% RNG manip. All right, I need to use some spells. The nice thing about the flame spell that you almost never see me use is that it's basically the bow. Oh, come on, please die. Thank you. All right. Oh, dang it, this is not good. This arena sucks. All right. The flame spell actually like goes through enemies. While the flame spell goes through enemies while the bow doesn't, and it also takes a little bit longer to charge. So yeah, sorry. Like I have to focus here because this arena is very scary, and this isn't even the scariest portion of it. Like this is the easy part, honestly. Oh god, no, I'm gonna die. This is not good. All right. Ugh, this last part really sucks. This isn't even the last part actually, so this is not good. Come here, bud. Wow. Alright, this is where it gets scary.
Who the heck keeps donating to the money fade? You guys are all monsters.
Oh, stop. Alright, so I gotta take this really slow because these the hammers on these enemies kind of the hitboxes for a lot of the enemies in the game extend like sometimes like just a bit farther than you would expect, and they can really clip you something fierce. And it just makes it an absolute nightmare to deal with. So I'm going to switch to the daggers here because there's a little section where I can go fast. And then there's a fun little glitch that really is only useful for this fight. Again, sort of a reference if you've played Titan Souls again. All right.
So we have a $5.01 donation from Mr. Poopy Doodoo.
Mr. Poopy Doodoo.
And the comment is because I don't hate you.
Okay, thank you. Wow.
We are now at $505.
Awesome. Thank you. And also thank you for rounding that out. I think that would have annoyed a lot of people. But, yeah, so this is Betty the Yeti. And so the thing that I just did with that roll attack is basically if you do a roll attack and switch your weapon, it makes it so that when you do an actual roll, you swing your weapon again. Oh, dang it. All right. Hitboxes. And so as soon as I get hit, I lose... oh, I didn't... I lose the extra attack. And so because we're basically just spending this entire fight rolling into Betty, and it didn't go away, which is very convenient. So, oh man, I think you actually get less of a roll with the umbrella, which is really bad because I'm so... I really need the roll in this fight, because Betty's rolling at me. Alright. Nope. Oh, thank you. Nope, stop. Oh, my God. Alright. Half panicked a little bit there, and I died. Okay. Yeah, with the snowballs can be kind of crap, because they can just 100% troll you, and I got really close to killing her, actually, which was really sad. Oh. There you go. That's the free attack. So I guess that's something I just learned, is that the umbrella has a different roll hitbox than the sword, which is actually kind of annoying. They have a very nicely timed like system with the sword itself. All right, so I'm not going to try.
It's kind of impressive how much blood an umbrella is producing.
Oh yeah, I mean, have you ever hit somebody with an umbrella? I wouldn't recommend it.
I mean, I don't remember everything from my childhood, but I feel like there may have been a time when I hit one of my siblings with an umbrella.
There you go. Let the umbrella hate flow through you. All right. Not really. All right. Yeah, so this is, I guess while I'm here, I can just do some exposition on how this is Betty the Yeti. A character that we don't meet in the game, who is another crow, is in love with Betty for some reason. I don't know why, but that's just the lore, I guess. She's kind of cute, because she's got a nice little bun like that. Alright. Oh, okay, finally. And did that hit this? That's nice. Alright, cool. Yeah, so we killed Betty, finally, after all this time. Quick question. We added time onto my estimate, right, for the umbrella stuff?
I don't know how that worked. Let me look. How long is it going to add? Because we can fix this real easy.
15 minutes.
15?
Yeah, let's say 15. I'm about 10 minutes behind what I would be expecting in a good run right now. So
25?
Let's do 15 max. Yeah.
Okay, I will direct the schedule to be updated.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that. I completely...
actually not a problem really at all. That's just gonna pull out a run that was only 10 minutes, and I didn't really need to run it anyways.
Okay, cool.
So it's all perfect. We have stuff in there for stuff like that, so
Sweet.
Not a problem. We'll just pull that 10-minute run.
Awesome. Yeah, so this is the Lord of Doors. He's our boss. He's the world's best lord. He's chilling out, having his coffee. He's like, hey, you're a crow. You got those beaks. Nice. That's good stuff. Also, if you zoom me into a cutscene, you do these little runs in circles. And he's like, hey, you probably want something from beating that Lord Soul, Giant Soul, whatever you want to call it. And he claps for us. Like, oh, good job. Way to do it. So proud of you. And he's like, okay, well, that's cool. You got your hand clappies. I got more important stuff to do. Bye-bye. And you can see through these windows here. I guess windows, technically are a type of door, if you think about it real hard. You can see, like, there's the Death's Door that we never got to meet, which is where we're supposed to meet the Great Crow. And then we kind of pop in front of Chandler, the handler here, and he's like, hey, you have it. He's like, you got a giant soul, but it's not the one that I told you to get. Go get it. Stop being stupid. And you're like, okay. And so now what we're actually doing is going in reverse boss order, because for some reason the bosses themselves have like inverse health, basically. Betty has the lowest health out of all of them because she is like the toughest boss, whereas the boss that we're going to now has the medium most, and then the very first boss actually has the highest. So the more DPS that we can do for each of them is better. So there's a little arc I could do there to save some time, but it's only like 10 seconds, and there's a high chance that I void out. And have to reset, so that's not cool. Let's not do that. So now we're going to go into the swamp area of the game, because as all Souls-likes, there always has to be a swamp. And we're going to be skipping 2 whole areas thanks to arcs and how powerful they are. It's kind of nutty how you skip all of this, but it's super cool. This, in my opinion, is like the most tedious area of the game. I don't know, like I love this game. But I like this area the least, I guess, out of it, all of it. But it does have its good moments that make it worthwhile. So honestly, the humor in this game is amazing. It's very, if you like British humor, it's the devs are British, so it's very tongue in cheek and kind of just like, I don't know, it's done in all the right ways, and the combat itself is also really awesome. So I don't know if I'm making it look easy or hard, but let's not do that.
You know that you're an actual speedrunner when you've said at least 3 times in a run, this is the most tedious portion of the game.
Okay, yeah, that is true. The most tedious trick is the rail stuff. The most tedious area, the hardest arena is definitely the ice arena before Betty. And then this is like the most tedious just section in general, because there's just so many enemies that you don't touch and try not to kill. And so when we just sit there, we just did an arc into Out of Bounds. We do that into here, and then we skip basically those two sections and go immediately into the third section, which is the Flooded Fortress. We haven't met the boss of this area yet. Nothing. We kind of just rolled in and we're ready. We woke up today and chose violence is the best way to say it. Don't choose violence in your real life. Do it in video games. So yeah, yeah. So this is another section of like.
Am I missing something? What is this? What is that reference to?
I don't know.
Woke up and chose violence.
I think that's just a saying, more of like, you woke up today.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've heard it like 8 times, and I've never heard it before today.
Oh, really? Yeah. No. Yeah.
Chat, tell us where it comes from.
Yeah, if it does come from somewhere, I'd be very curious. But I thought it was just like people straight memeing. Yeah. So always the first section kind of an area is mostly just running around. But what this doesn't give us in like combat in this section more than makes up for it in the later portions. So here's a statue. This is the King of the Swamp. He's a frog. He has a hammer, and this is kind of teaching us that the hammer exists and like what sort of stuff goes on with it. So yeah, so we're almost about to the combat, and we're going to get a little bit of lore exposition. I wouldn't say lore exposition. We're actually going to get to meet the King of the Swamp, who we should have met several times over at this point, who has a bit of a, I don't think he has a Cockney accent, but he is like a kind of gangster in a way. So this archer is like, hey, I'm going to call the King of the Swamp, and then lo and behold, the King of the Swamp just jumps in and sits on him. He tells us to hop on Crooked Crow. The archer says, hey, you should probably do that, and also says he doesn't want to go between his cheeks. So this is the section where I'm going to use the daggers just because it's originated from a tweet. Yeah, there you go. Also, this guy's still alive. He didn't actually die. He just actually like. He just kind of got sat on and wasn't living his best life. So, all right. So this is a skip that isn't like you can shoot that monkey and do this section like no problemo. And I also failed that arc, so we're just gonna kill all these guys just to save time. There we go. All right. Yeah. So we don't need to use the daggers here, but like just for purposes, there we go. All right, that one's a little awkward because the what do you call it? The arc itself, you're actually on a platform that's a little bit lower than the like the bridge itself. So we need to be very quick on that arc. Most arcs that we do, we're actually like timing them relatively what's the word? We're timing them relatively quickly. It's more of like a 1, 2, 3 input succession, whereas that is like I'm not even letting the full charge So this is kind of like a bit of an RNG section. This, like, doing that arc off of the platform over the water really sucks. These whizzes also suck a lot, just because you're really at the mercy of their spawns. And getting them to spawn in the right place is a real big issue. So if you get a good whiz spawn early on, great, but you know, you're kind of just left at their mercy. And we want them to spawn a little bit towards that section behind me so that I can hook shot onto them. There we go, just like this. And I aimed completely wrong because I am the world's best FPS player. Obviously, as you can tell. And there's also like a little bit of a delay, more or less, with the... there we go. Alright. And I need these whizzes to get out of the way. You... Hook shot over here, and then I'm just gonna get these out of the way. Now, I have another arc right here. We're gonna get you out of the way because I don't want tediousness. And then we're gonna arc over to these platforms here. There is another like section that I could do if I wasn't doing that arc, but I'm not going to do it.
Hey, you ain't gotta do it, don't do it.
Yeah, so it's safer. But it's really not that bad. Hello, goodbye. And so what you may not have noticed is that like a lot of actually the spells have a short cooldown. On them, which is the reason I'm not using them constantly.
And then real quick, just a reminder to everybody, this year we are raising money for Detroit Love on Our Arms. They are a nonprofit movement dedicated to presenting hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. They exist to encourage, inform, inspire, and to invest directly into treatment and recovery. Exclamation point donate for the link if you'd like to donate to this great cause.
Yeah, everybody donate. I really want to break 1,000 in this run, which is not going to happen, but a boy can dream is the best way I'll say it. So yeah. Sorry, I'm used to having way less time to talk, so if I'm just like completely silent for a second, I apologize.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we met like I said, we met the King of the Swamp earlier. He basically tells us like, hey, get out of here, buddy. Leave me alone. But the King of the Swamp actually has... so we met Betty earlier, and Betty just has... she's just Betty. Whereas the King of the Swamp has a great intro. I can't read the whole thing. I'll try and...
Great Lord Betty!
I'll try to read at least most of it. He's King of the Swamp, guardian of the Flooded Fortress, Lord of his own name, ruler of all his surveys, champion of the people, keeper of the five bullets, first of his name, second of his name, who's without middle, initial, or mercy, destroyer of all those who would question his rightful rule or look at him askance, and then there's like a lot more. So you can just run around his back. The first phase of this fight is like knocking off his armor, which he said he got off a dead body. And by kind of standing close to the edge here, I can just force him. I could quickly get through that first phase. So the second phase, though, is very puzzly in the sense that, like, you know, all those like platforms that we were going through, basically. He's gonna knock them out, and I'm gonna have to like deal with that as a thing. Let's see. So this first phase section isn't too bad. It's gonna be a little rough because like I'm used to getting more height with the sword, or like the sword actually moves you a little bit. I actually need to do this. So this fight's going to take quite a bit longer than it would normally because I'm going to do it, like, basically as intended, minus a couple things. Or, like, without the bomb spell, basically, is the best way to say it. So, actually, one thing you may not have noticed is that we actually completely skipped the bomb spell. And we actually aren't going to use it at all for the entire run. And, yeah, so don't need it, don't want it. It's for slow people, and I like to go fast. And so, yeah, this fight would have been done, like, 2 phases ago. But because of the whole, like, I can't get the correct amount of spacing, and I don't move as much as I usually would with the umbrella compared to the... compared to the sword, I can't like take any chances basically, because dying is really the slowest thing that I can absolutely do during a fight, especially when I get, you know, halfway through like I am now. But normally I would run on like this little like section right here, and I think I have enough health to not worry about it right now. And just kind of wail on him like this. And he also damages himself when he does this. And so that's what I would normally be doing. And then he's dead. All right. That's what I would normally be doing. And with that tactic and just basically his suction attack has just enough like pull compared to the forward swing of the sword that I actually won't fall into the water. But the as I said, the umbrella doesn't give me that that nuance. And one thing you might not have noticed before is, so this is Stedhone. He's basically giving all of the giant souls a eulogy, basically, of like, yep, here's who they were in life, blah blah blah, like a nice little send-off for him. We don't really care about him too much otherwise, but he's a cool dude. We like him. So yeah. So now we're on to the last section, which is to actually go fight the Urn Witch. And her section is pretty quick for the most part. Again, I'm going to be using the daggers for all of this just because I kind of need to have them. There is one little detour that we have to do here, which is we have to go grab a key to unlock this next section. But like we've done with all the other places, basically, Castle Lockstone, which is the castle-looking area, is the only place that I'm actually going to be that we actually like had to run through. And those are the only 3 enemies that I have to kill with the, actually, probably not. We can do the other sections with the umbrella coming up. But yeah. So I have to get one of these keys to be able to do this section here, which is unlock this door so we can go into the central furnace, which is where, like, it's like, again, like the third area of where the actual boss resides. So, yep. Yeah, Castle Lockstone is like the only place that we actually like do most of it and actually explore some of the puzzles, because you basically have to get on the elevator to move forward. So yep. So now we're in the furnace itself, just kind of going around. It's like I said before, like the first like half of the third section is always just a like a tutorial area in the sense of like, hey, here's some of the stuff you're going to be messing around with, those sorts of things. So. This is pretty straightforward. Just ride on these things and go, go through the area. We do notice here that Pathied got captured by his grandma and put into some green goo. I don't know what the green goo is, but it's green goo, I guess. And we just roll along, and we're almost to actually meeting Grandma for the first time, where she tells us to get out, stop being a little nutcase and invading her space, and then from there, yeah, she tells us to go away. She's gonna be like, hey, I need to teach my grandson a lesson by sticking in some goo, and that basically what that furnace itself there was supposed to show you is that like it unlocks more doors and areas for you to get into. So I'm gonna grab this as a little bit of a safety door. Usually don't grab it. And wha-bam, here we go. And one cool thing to actually notice about the game itself is that the lifts that you see here are actually moving in time with the music. So they keep the beat, which is actually really nice. That's a really slow zoomy. All right, I'm gonna be cheeky, and we're gonna. That was lucky. I didn't think I would get that. All right. Use the umbrella here for jiggles. Because we can get some help from the... Whoop, that was not good. Alright, I think I finally have enough damage to where things die relatively quickly, because, as I mentioned, these are now, like, this is like the first real area that we're supposed to be doing. So the damage itself is kind of... like, makes sense. All right, thank you, thing, for blocking my way. He also has like an explodey pack on his back, so that's how I took damage there, because it got in the way. Yeah, so we don't need the daggers here, but we do need them for dagger dashes, because there really aren't any arcs in this area. And I think I mentioned this earlier, but I am playing on controller, The only time you need a controller is for the rail section to get past Avarice, to get into Avarice 1. You're going to be playing on PC, but basically if you were playing on console, you would just do the first section in the manner as intended, basically. And then... Can you please, archers, give me a break. All right, thank you. All right. You just do the first section as intended. There are skips for that area that you can do. I pushed myself off. And I pushed myself off again. All right, that's perfect. Okay. Completely intended death. You know, don't...
RNG manipulation for the next boss. The next boss is very difficult, and by dying these 2 times in this very specific way, it's going to make the boss fight easier.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much for a wonderful explanation. But yeah,
I know, right?
Commentators always got my back. All right. There you go. I almost never get a good like dagger dash or zoomy through this area, so I'm totally fine with how that turned out. But yeah, so these next little sections are made pretty trivial by the fact that we have the hook shot. We can hook shot our way through the entire section, no big deal. All right, and we're sort of to the last like little puzzle area of this. Really, the only problem is that we're going to be... Oof, didn't get my cool sniper mode in. All right, you can kind of clip the flame spell into these... what do you call it? Into those little spots, which is nice. The reason I did damage to that... oops, wrong spell. That ooze there... so I haven't explained this at all, actually. Is the spells you can see under my health, I have 4 slots. Those are the amount of spell slots that I have. I get back a usage of a spell whenever you hit something. So I have to, actually hit things to use the spells, which is heavily required in this section of the run. But typically we don't use spells too much in fights in the actual game. The DPS of the sword is more than enough, so it's not a huge deal. But yeah, so now we're actually to the grandma fight. That's just habit, more or less. So she's doing her work, blah, 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 and she gets upset with us. She calls us a little shit. That's canon. And she flutters her way down, and now we have to fight Grandma. Also known as the Witch of Burns. Alright, so pretty simple fight. She's going to throw some urns at us, including these ones, just basic explodey ones, and ones that are like the chasers that we've seen before. And it's a fairly simple fight overall. Actually, I think she skipped a phase there. Usually she should throw a lot of them at you. Like literally blows her top, and this is a great portion too because I can just charge attack some of these projectiles into her. So actually, with the sword, she'd be dead by now. By the time she does, that like the spinny move, I guess, if I'm saying it anywhere like near like what would actually make sense. There we go. She would die by the end of that because of the quadruple damage from the returning the projectiles. So but yeah, so that's Grandma done. That is the 3rd boss, so now we're actually getting into like the end game bit where we're actually going to go back and meet the Grey Crow. We're going to meet the person, or crow, excuse me, who should have started this whole thing for us. But yeah, we get a little eulogy from Stedhone, who's like, yeah, she's a grandma and she likes pots and stuff. We're going to quit out, so we don't have to run back to the door. And then one thing that you might have seen me doing is I'm like literally walking into the doors. That makes it so I don't actually have to go through the animation of like, as you'll see here, like I have to stop and wait for the door to open, run through it, or walk through it, that sort of thing. So that just makes it so it's an instantaneous clip into the door. So yeah, so that's a crap to me. Yeah, so that's really it for like lore and exposition. The Camp of the Free Crows that we met like really early in the game, like basically their whole point is that, hey, you should be killing these giant souls so that you can like basically free the world from all of like the undeath that is happening and return nature to normal, basically. And they also want to rise up against the Lord of Doors because he's the actual reason that this is all happening, because he's not basically doing his job. And one thing that we learned is that we're currently on the 4th iteration of the Lord of Doors. So
the first generation, of course, being Hodor.
Hodor, yes, correct. Yeah, this is the Grey Crow. What should have happened is initially you would see him putting our first giant soul into the door, but here we're going to give him the other 3 ones, and he says like, "Oh, fledgling, I could have never done this," and it's like, yeah, dude, you had 300 years. Like, why didn't you do it? But yeah, so this is also known as Death's Door. Oh, look, I name dropped the game. But yeah, so we're going to open up Death's Door and enter in. But as I was saying, we're on the 4th iteration of the Lord of Doors, because the one thing that they kind of give in this game is that yeah, late title card. Yeah, we actually never actually get the title card for the game, but despite the fact that things aren't dying, everything has to die at some point, or else you get a little bit too well aged. Oh, and then we kind of enter this void, and it's like, hello, anybody there? And oh, look, it's a person in a black hoodie with a black fanny pack and a scythe. Oh, look, it's Death. So yeah, we finally meet Death. And so the lore exposition here is that Death got sealed away by the first Lord of Doors and kind of tricked into being here, because the Lord of Doors didn't want to die. They were kind of like a being that came up from out of a well of souls, I guess is the best way to say it. I don't really know, like I don't remember all the actual stuff. And came from like a well of souls, and the Lord of Doors was like, hey, I'll do your job for you, but we just need to make this other door into the ether and blah blah blah. And so the first Lord of Doors and the second and third kept their ends of the bargain by like actually reaping souls and doing it, but living normally long lives. Whereas the fourth Lord of Doors is like, hey, screw that, I just want to live forever. Y'all suck, bye bye. And so now that's why we have to kill the Lord of Doors.
Do you really want to live forever?
Yeah. So, yeah. So now, as we learn, the crow, who hasn't been reaped yet and lives forever, is like, wait a minute. We learn that like this door basically is just an ether where souls disappear. And so basically he learned that he like wasted all of his like hundreds of years of life trying to find his soul, to find out that he like never like it wouldn't have mattered anyway. He should have just been living his life. And of course, so the the gray crow spawns these like other I guess ads it would be the best way to put them. And they can really just show up at like they can spawn off of it in any direction, and they really suck. If I die several times in this fight, I do have to apologize, but this is like probably one of the big reasons why some people have a lot of trouble with this game, is because this fight is just so like RNG basically. And like, see, like I just kind of rolled out of the way, and then I got hit twice by the crow heads. So there's nothing I could have done about that. I just rolled in the wrong way. Sucks to be me, I guess. So yeah, these micromanaging these ads on top of everything else. There you go. I didn't see that. Yeah. So typically I would have a lot more upgrades in this fight. So thankfully we can try again. And in this section here where he's just kind of screamed his head off, I can just kind of maximize some damage here. Yeah, it's a lot of this fight is just micromanagement of these ads, and really the I guess harder on top of it all is that the like you can. Oh, I don't know how I didn't get hit there. his running attack is really rough. You really should only be able to get one attack in after he does it. I'm really hoping I'm getting... Oh, man, that kind of sucked. I tried to roll out of the way of that. Alright, I need to load that up. Oh, come on. Like, that's like the worst thing, is the rolling into the... Wow. That actually wasn't a bad fight. Alright. So we can quit out of the Lord of Doors fight, that fight, and just go straight to the Grey Crow fight, excuse me, and just quit out straight away. If you quit out in any of the other boss fights, you just have to redo the fight. And then death here is just like, yeah, death's on your side. I'm finally free of the door, blah, blah, blah. But to actually seal the gateway to that ether, we have to go kill the Lord of Doors. So we're going to get some exposition from Vargas, who's like, hey, we're not under the subjugation of the Lord of Doors anymore, blah, blah, blah. Like, go kill him, Crow, because you're the foretold Crow, blah, blah, blah. That's basically the bit of it. So we talked to Darwin here to get, I guess, to get Dex 2, because that's all we can really afford. It doesn't matter that much, but, like, I guess with this, but we'll see. And so finally, this is the door to go fight the Lord of Doors. So, and he kind of just tells us that, hey, I know you're here to kill me and, like, restore order to the world, but I'm not gonna die because I don't wanna, so fight me, punk. And then that's it. So he's got it's like a 3-phase fight. So in this first phase, you kind of learn his unique moves, more or less. Yeah, where he just kind of like yeets himself at you. Okay. And then after we finally get done doing all this damage, he shows that, oh, he can summon doors that run at you like bowls, and we chill out here. And after that section, we go into like a gauntlet area where we have to just run around. That's really about it. It's no big deal. I might put on the sword here just because I don't want to accidentally take damage, but we'll see how I do. Because again, the rolling distance thing is kind of screwing with me. Yeah. Alright. This first little section is fairly straightforward. I'm just going to basically be dodging all these like running sections. I'm just going to be dodging dodging him. And he's like basically does game lags like some form of like attack that is similar to one of the bosses that we fought. Damaging while he's summoning? No. So while he's summoning the doors in this phase, he has like what do you call it? A specific HP cap that we've already hit, basically. So each phase has a specific amount of damage, and doing more damage, just more of just me. There we go. The roll itself kind of screwed me over. Each phase of the damage like has a cap. So normally, you actually wouldn't even see this attack with the sword. You would actually kill him before it goes through. But yeah, as he's like snapping and summoning these doors, that doesn't do any extra damage. I've hit the cap already, and it resets his total HP to what it needs to be for that portion of the fight. But yeah, he straight up just backhands you. It's pretty rough, actually. But yeah, the OST for this section of the game is just absolutely insanely good. So if you haven't listened to the OST, it is on Spotify and YouTube and all other places. So definitely check it out.
the final countdown.
All right. Yeah. Yep. And so this is the Betty fight, obviously, because you can see we're in the Betty arena. Yep. I have no idea what the health cap is like right now, so I'm kind of just like swinging away, going as we need to. But yeah, so this is the last little section. It's not that bad. Thankfully, although this game is, I would say this game is a tough game for people that aren't used to action RPGs. It is very forgiving in the sense that, like, when you die, you don't lose the amount of souls you have. Checkpoints are relatively frequent, and at the same time, for the last fight, you can see my health just got restored to full now that I'm in, like, the last section. So we have now the last fight coming up. As soon as I do the final hit is time. So it's not too bad. It's probably going to take, like, it usually takes about 2 minutes for the fight, so we have about 4 more minutes left.
What's your PB for any percent with the umbrella?
So with the I have never done a speed run with the umbrella. I think with, like, I have a 4-hour video on my YouTube of me, like, doing all of this, including some, like, endgame
What's
sections.
your normal PB?
So with sword, my current PB in-game time, or like with like our timer, which isn't RTA, is 58:35. So it would I think it's around like a 1 hour.
Because your estimate was 120, and if you finish this fight in 5 minutes, you will hit that estimate, and you thought you were going to be like 25 over.
15 to
15 over, 15 over.
15, but still.
And you might finish ahead of schedule. That's some performance by a runner here.
Yeah, thank you. I like to think that I'm a god gamer sometimes. But yeah. Actually, when I do these estimates, because of, like, previous games that I've
I'm just saying, if there were a vote for who is more of a god gamer, you or Jack from Super Metroid, I'm gonna go with you.
Thank you.
Only like 2% of the audience gets that, and half of them are gonna be real pissed off. But I don't care.
That's fine. I'll take their anger. Somebody woke up today and chose anger because of the $4.99.
That's true.
Donation. So, but yeah. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah. I usually put a really high estimate for some of the games that I speedrun and do marathons at, because, like, there's a lot. Most games, there's a lot of RNG, and I want to make sure that I don't, like, accidentally go over. I'd rather give you time back than nothing.
You see, you're the smart one. Me, the organizer of the frickin' event's like, nah, bruh, 5 minutes more than my PB, it'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is also, like, yeah, it's all right. Oh, dang it. He's so close to dead. Yeah, we're gonna take this a little bit. Oh, he's dead. Time.
Ba-ba-bum.
Oh.
Congratulations. You did a damn good job. I have no other words than that. You did amazing.
Thank you. I hope that was a fun run for everybody. So I do have this pulled up. So it's the entire, because we have, I guess I'm still however many minutes under estimate. I do have the entire, like, title card for The King of the Swamp if you want me to read it. I don't do, like, a fun voice or anything, but I can.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so it is really funny. So he's the King of the Swamp, Guardian of the Flooded Fortress, Lord of his Domain, Ruler of all he surveys, Champion of the People, Keeper of the Five Oaths. Who knows what the Five Oaths are? First of his name, second of his other name, he was without middle initial or mercy, destroyer of all those who would question his rightful rule or look at him askance, eater of the vanquished, devourer of the indolent, guzzler of the non-committal, bestower of wrathful, Obrium, I don't know that word, font of the most wondrous beneficence, all glory to him and his mace, holy basher of toads, not frogs, but really, what are toads anyway? Like, worse frogs, right? Uglier, too. Smartest creature in all the land, really clever like that Einstein guy, but more handsome and, okay, hit the word count. I don't know. So like, if you had a giggle at that, I would highly recommend playing this game. It's only $20. Like for $20, like there is so much to do in this game. It's so much fun to have. Like Acid Nerve really killed it at the end of the day. So yeah, that's really it for me. I guess I can just plug myself. So yeah, I speedrun this game sometimes. I have a couple more marathons coming up here soon. This game itself is going to be in Midwest Speedfest next week, as well as a different marathon in 2 weeks. I also speedrun Final Fantasy X, doing Sekiro Immortal Sephiroth's hit list if you guys like that sort of stuff. Join the Death Store Discord. There's a lot of stuff going on. So if you think I'm cool, come check me out. Otherwise, yeah, have fun with the marathon, guys. I really appreciate you having me here.
We definitely appreciate you taking the time out to play. It was a great game. It was a great run. Look forward to seeing you next year as well. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one.
You too. And it's just a reminder to everybody, we are raising money To Write Love on Our Arms. They are a nonprofit movement dedicated to preventing hope and finding help for people struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. Nightbot, absolutely clutch. Donate link right there, right as I'm saying that. Good job. They exist to encourage, inform, inspire, and also to invest directly into treatment and recovery. So we will be raising money all weekend. We don't go offline until 9:05 p.m. tomorrow. And then we come back on Sunday at 8 a.m. So got a lot of more runs in store for you. Exclamation point schedule to see what's going on and what you're missing, what you guys can watch later in the run. And we will flip it over here, I'm sure Matt will, to the in-between scene before we head up next with Matt actually running Skyrim, which is ambitious. I have never actually played through Skyrim. I once got to, I tried to play it in VR for the first time, and I don't know anything about Skyrim. Anybody who plays Skyrim is going to be like, you're a freaking idiot. But I'm like, oh, here's a farm. There's chickens. I can kill the chickens. I was just having fun playing with because I can have 2 spells, one in each hand, and I'm waving my hands around in VR. So I'm going to try this out on chickens, that'll be fine. And then a freaking villager starts attacking me because apparently they're their chickens. And then I killed the villager because I wouldn't stop. And then the guard comes over. And so I kill the guard because I can kite like crazy. And then it says there are witnesses to your evil deeds. I'm like, okay, if there's witnesses, that means that I need to kill everybody who saw that, right? In my gamer mind, that was where I was supposed to go. So I killed everybody. There are no witnesses. So I go to town. They're like, you're arrested. I'm like, but there were no witnesses.
Anyway.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. We'll be right back with Skyrim, and have a great rest of your day.